it's very strange. Like this time of the year, it's December. It's you're getting ready for bowl season. It is the Christmas season. It's hard. It's hard to explain. Like you can't. I always say this about like national championship games or Final Fours or whatever. You can't replicate it. You can't you can try all you want to in practice, but you can't replicate the actual experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing for like living in bowl games. When I was growing up, and for most of us, before this recent stretch, it was like a tradition. Every year I'd get together with my family, my extended family, and we'd watch the bowl game. It was a tradition. And we wouldn't it was the Fiesta Bowl or the Orange Bowl. It was always major bowls. And then once the 2000s kind of came around,
Holiday Bowl.
You go to the Holiday Bowls or the Gator Bowls, but at least you'd still get together. You could complain about not being in the Fiesta Bowl. But man, this stretch of just
talk about the teams of the Fiesta Bowl don't deserve to be there. We should be there. They don't even travel very well.
I just can't believe it's going to be 6 straight years now without a bowl game.
Yes.
That's
yes.
a long time to not go over 500.
That is painful.
Yeah. And we all lived through it, so we all kind of know how it goes. But I'm telling you, Nebraska football, you're affecting my family dynamic. I'm not getting together with my family as much anymore. It's ruining Christmas.
The Bachmans are not spending time together because there's no bowl game.
We used to
that's
gather
the only
for the bowl
reason.
game.
The only reason they got together was for bowl games, and now they haven't seen each other in 6 years.
We're just awkwardly should we have a Super Bowl party? We don't really care who wins.
Oh, this is weird. No,
yeah.
The Cardinals aren't going to be there.
Well, the Bachmans don't cheer for the Cardinals.
No.
That's just me.
Just the one.
That's just the one. Because Jake Plummer, who has the same first name as me, was their quarterback.
Shout out to Jake Plummer.
Shout out Jake Plummer, except for that time he beat Nebraska.
That
wasn't cool.
Unshout out Jake Plummer.
Yeah. Also ruined my Christmas that year, Jake Plummer.
Everybody's ruining your Christmas, man.
I know. No, you can't ruin my Christmas. It's one of my favorite holidays, probably outside of Halloween. What's your favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't get enough love. My birthday's in November. Thanksgiving is in November. I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. No Christmas decorations until after Thanksgiving.
Do you like Thanksgiving particularly because there's football going on?
There is also football going on, which is pretty fun. There is also football going on.
See, for me, Thanksgiving is kind of like, okay, rivalry week for college football and Thanksgiving right before it.
Yeah, no, I don't care about that.
No,
it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm getting together with my family to eat delicious food.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing for Thanksgiving. Then Halloween, you get candies.
Oh yeah. You can't go too far from
Real
that.
Nice.
Also, I wanted to ask you guys, and you guys let us know because I think it's a fascinating question. There is an odds-on favorite, but this year the Heisman just seems to be up for grabs. So let us know, who's your Heisman this year? You can hit us up on the Honda of Lincoln hotline or Starter Heyman text line, same number, 402-464-5685. Of course, the Heisman finalists were announced. Stetson Bennett, of course, the quarterback of Georgia. Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback. You'll notice a pattern here. Quarterback here for Ohio State, C.J. Stroud, and another quarterback from USC, Caleb Williams, are your 4 Heisman finalists.
It's the Davey O'Brien Award?
Yeah, this sounds more like the Davey O'Brien Award. Unfortunately, Blake Corum not invited. Probably should have been.
Definitely should have been.
He's the running back of Michigan, was injured before the Ohio State game, didn't factor in too much to their biggest win of the season or the Big Ten championship game. So that
Still
probably kind of takes him out.
Even without the stats from those 2 games, he should have been a finalist.
Yeah, at least
Stetson Bennett should not be in New York.
See, there's an argument for Stetson Bennett not to be in New York, but I got a few fun Stetson Bennett facts to open up our Heisman.
I feel like I already know where some of these are going, but go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, in case you want to bark back at me, I'll start by saying this also is kind of like a Tommy Frazier stat.
Yep.
Gotcha. Stetson Bennett had 3,104 passing yards this year, or 3,425. This was the regular season, was 3,100 excuse me. Okay, here's the stat I was messing up.
Okay.
3,100 of his 3,425 passing yards basically were in the first 3 quarters of games. So in the fourth quarter, he only threw for 320 yards. This mostly being due to either Georgia running the ball because of blowouts or being pulled from the game, much like Tommy Frazier was. In blowouts. So his numbers might not impress you quite as much, but it's because George is dominating everybody.
No, still doesn't do it.
No,
for
it doesn't
me.
do it.
Because even if you say it's a Tommy Frazier stat, Tommy Frazier's numbers were astronomically better than Stetson. He had 20 touchdowns this season. 20 touchdowns is not a Heisman.
Yeah, I mean,
C.J. Stroud had somewhere, I believe, like 437
touchdowns.
Had like 400 yards less and 17 more touchdowns. Like, what? And you want to complain about him not playing. I mean, not you, but people want to complain about, well, he didn't play in the fourth quarter. And that's not all him getting those touchdowns. He only had 20. That's also the running game. That's also the defense.
Yeah, Stetson Bennett probably is the last of the 4 guys invited. But, it kind of goes back. It's a throwback to the early 2000s where you just take the quarterback on the best team and
it's so dumb.
Put him up there in the Heisman.
You shouldn't do that. Hendon Hooker being the best player in the nation for 3/4 of the season before he tore his ACL. He should also be in New York.
See, that's where I want.
That's the hard part, though, is you get hurt before the last 2-3 games, and it's like, oh well, they got hurt. I'm like, no, but he was the best. He was the best player for the longest time.
But when Georgia played Tennessee, Hendon Hooker didn't look too great.
That is true.
Bennett won the game.
Well, Stetson Bennett also looked like garbage against mediocre opponents. So,
here's a fun fact about Stetson Bennett. Heisman winner of 2016, Lamar Jackson, is 25 years old. He was born in 1997. Heisman finalist Stetson Bennett this year is 25 years old and was born in 1997.
Something's off. Something's off here.
Seems a bit odd. That's crazy. The 2016 Heisman winner is the same age as a Heisman finalist in 2022. But, with COVID and all that stuff, that's just where we are. The other numbers, by the way, to throw out there, just if it's just a numbers award, I think that it's Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams is the odds-on favorite, and basically because of the lack of a Heisman winner, that that's just clearly above everybody else. You just may go to stats.
Yeah, what is Caleb Williams' Heisman moment? Can anybody tell me?
They played a lot of games
that it's not.
late.
Yeah, I understand that it's not all based off of that, but everybody has one.
Yeah,
I don't. What's his?
See, that's the problem. I don't know if you have one.
Because Max Duggan's, even though they didn't win the game, it's that final drive. Well, not the final drive, the second to last drive. Well, no, the final drive before overtime for TCU, where he ran for 80,000 yards and was just gassed when he finally got into the end zone.
Yeah, but Caleb Williams, I mean, I guess if you're going to give Max Duggan a Heisman performance or Heisman moment in a loss, you could do the same thing with Caleb Williams. If you watch that game Friday night, he was beat up. He should have been out of the game for his future. He's going to be an NFL quarterback. He should have just for his own future.
But did he have a touchdown that was amazingly gorgeous, beautiful throw? Because that's what I'm talking about. Is the Heisman moment. I know that they ended up losing that game, but he had that moment where it's he ties it up and they're going to overtime, and it's yes, this is it.
Yeah.
And honestly, if TCU was smart and sneaks the ball on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 at the goal line, they score. First off. Secondly, there's his Heisman moment because they win the Big 12 championship.
But he's on the outside looking in, going into the Big 12 championship. So his Heisman moment, what got him to New York, whether he wins the Heisman or not, and he likely won't, was that. I mean, because going into that weekend, he was not going to be considered. He's just kind of a nice story, and certainly, Davey O'Brien Award, not going to win that either because of these other guys that are going to the Heisman. But I mean, you have an argument for Max Duggan. Would that, if you had a Heisman vote, is that where you'd go?
I would like to. He would get my second place vote. I would go with Caleb Williams. His stats are also ridiculous.
Yeah, 4,075 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions.
Ridiculous
for Caleb Williams. But it was you kind of wait for those moments. And again, he plays on the West Coast, which is also hard usually for Heisman winners to come out of that area, just because a lot of guys go to bed. There's a lot of people.
Christian McCaffrey should have won the Heisman.
That vote on the Heisman that don't necessarily watch all the games. It's really regional. Usually get regional voting in there, and so it kind of hurts the West Coast. So I'm sure. I mean, he had some moments. They played in a lot of closer games where they needed him. But the other thing is, by just watching that Utah game, you felt really bad for him because, that defense,
it just beat him up.
Even when not just the Utah defense, the USC defense, when they needed a tackle, first of all, they wouldn't get it. If Utah needed a first down to all but win the game, and this happened twice, they would get the first down. You'd go, oh my, now but the defense wouldn't even tackle after the first down. They'd go to the end zone.
Yep.
Twice. It was these guys are awful.
They missed at one point. They had missed 22 tackles.
Yeah.
USC's defense had.
I mean, it was so bad that a reporter after the game asked Coach Lincoln Riley if he's teaching his guys to punch the football out instead of tackling.
Do you guys tackle like at all? Do you do anything?
Do you guys think that tackling's important in football?
I said this earlier on the drive with AD and Raf, and if Cam Rising, Utah's quarterback, had a better season, had a Heisman worthy season, whatever, his Heisman moment would be him getting his head knocked off, standing up and smiling in the faces of the USC defenders, because that was crazy.
What do you think, by the way, too, the Caleb Williams thing? Bleep Utah on his fingernails.
Yeah, I don't care.
Not a big deal.
I don't care. You do you.
Yeah.
If that's how you psych yourself up, go ahead.
Yeah, and
but
remember,
you're going to have to deal with it if you lose.
Utah has beaten USC twice, so it was kind of a personal.
Yeah, you're going to have to deal with it if you lose. But if you win, it's whatever. If that's what you have to do to get yourself psyched up, I don't care.
Well, it also
people do weird things. People, not blackface, but they paint their whole front of their face with the mark or the chalk or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But with that stuff, they eye black, and they paint like the whole front of their face with that, and they make these weird designs, or they do one eye, or they wear the stickers, or they put on 25 wristbands on their arms, like whatever you have to do to make yourself feel better and to feel like you're gonna perform better. Go ahead.
But it's obviously disrespectful to your opponents, and they can see it. It's not just for your own self.
That is their problem, and how they react to that is their issue.
Well, they reacted one way.
Yep,
they beat them up,
and you lost. Like I said, if you lose, you're gonna have to deal with the after effects. If they see it, which you did that, they could see it. You're gonna have to deal with the effects of what they're going to do to you. But if that's something that you believe will make you play better, or just something that you do, then you do you, I guess. It's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, it didn't, but it's not. I don't think it's where you should use your platform. It kind of it comes off a little bit. I mean, I know he's in college, but it comes off a little bit childish. College, if you're
a college kid,
it's not great for his NFL prospects. It's not.
What's he gonna do? Be in the NFL and put bleep New England?
Well, I don't know. It kind of reminds me.
Bleep,
I guess
bleep the Rams.
Jameis Winston getting up and yelling things in the college. It's just kind of sophomoric.
Yeah.
So. It is what it is. He'll probably still win the Heisman. Let's go through your votes here. Thomas and Lincoln says running back for Michigan. So that would be Blake Corum. Alexander the Great says, so it's the best quarterback competition. It can turn into that, and it has kind of evolved into that. A quarterback award. But I remember a wide receiver won it a few years ago. Running backs have won it in the last decade. So it's not completely that. Wet Blanket says, box stop at Nebraska football only stinks from September to November. It's December. We have a new coach. The transfer portal is open. So he's I don't know if he's making a joke there or not. I don't know if he's being serious.
Just roll with it.
Yeah, we'll just roll with it. T-Dog says Team Magic for Heisman. That was awesome during those times.
Weird deal for Heisman.
Yeah, we had that a little bit as well.
Andrew Martinez was having a moment for a little bit this year.
Yeah.
Then he got hurt.
Well, and he didn't have the stat. Like, his moment was putting up a bunch of stats against Oklahoma after not putting up stats the first 3 games. So it was going to be hard.
Well, if he would have kept that pace up, it would have been fine.
Yeah, after the Oklahoma pace.
Exactly.
Eric and Lincoln says Drake May is better than Stinson Bennett. Penix should have been invited. Bijan Robinson deserved an invite at least. Yeah, I could see that. That's what the thing is. Like, it felt like Blake Corum's award to lose before he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, it felt like Hendon Hooker's award to lose before he got hurt. So the Heisman moment, the Heisman feel throughout the season still kind of feels with those guys. Caleb Williams will probably get it, but it's just one of those years you don't have a guy necessarily stand out. It won't be it's not like we're going to remember this year from Caleb Williams for the rest.
Yeah, this will be in the nicest way possible. This will be one of those forgotten Heismans.
Yeah,
where it's just like, oh yeah, he did win the Heisman that year. That's all it's going to be.
Yeah, and CJ Stroud, too, has to kind of go up against himself from last year, who didn't win a Heisman, but put up better stats.
Yeah.
So that's always one of those weird things, too, where it's like, yeah, you didn't deserve it last year, but this year, go ahead.
Exactly.